Okay, good evening, everyone. Hope you're having a great day. It is that time of day again. Today, we are going to be looking at cloning from the Git repository. I'm looking at some things that happen under the hood when we try to do a Git pull tool. So, talking about Git pull. Yep. So, let's go there. So, this is where I'm going to be starting from. We are going to be making some. So, today we are just going to actually be imagining some things. Like this project that we are working on was not here initially. This is someone else's project, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a folder that we are going to be working from. In this folder, me creating this folder is like we are starting, like I don't have this project on my system. So I'll be creating a folder, I'm calling it animals underscore duplicates. And that same directory. So I'm going to things my documents and project. So here I think we have animals too here. We're not going to be using this. I can take that away, but we're going to call this one animals underscore duplicate. This is where I'm going to be working from. So you shouldn't actually be looking at this. We are going to imagine that this does not exist. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is to be opening that particular folder I just created now. This is where we are going to be working from. So if you look at this folder, we don't have anything inside. It's actually empty. Now the concept of git clone is I'm probably like a collaborator on a project, right? I want to be able to pull that project to my system and then work with that project before I can then push it up. I didn't actually start the project. I didn't start the project myself, right? So I'm trying to get what somebody has done, add some code to it, and then probably give it back to the person. So the first thing we are going to do is to open our terminal. We just open the terminal, keep it down there for now. Now I'm going to go to my GitHub page. I'll click on the particular project that I want, which is this particular project, which is the animals, right? So you're going to look for this, I think there's a green button. You look for this green button called code, and then you click on it. And if you click on it, you see there are three options here. You can see the clone command. So the clone command is what you're going to use to get it on our system. So you have the HTTPS version, you have the SSH version, and you have the GitHub CLI version. I've made use of, I think, these two, but we're going to be using this since I'm using SSH to connect from my system to GitHub. So I'll be copying this command here. The Git URL. I'm going to be copying that. And before I run this, if I do although this is not a Git repository, so I don't expect this to return anything, git remote -v. So this is not a Git repository to start with. So let me clear this. So the first thing I'm going to do is do a git clone, and then I'll paste it here. So I want to clone this particular URL. If I do this command, it's going to create this, and then I think it's going to create this repository into a folder called animals, but I don't want that to happen, so I'm going to put a space here. I'll put a space here, and I'll put a dot saying I want everything to be inside this particular folder. So this is the command we're going to be using just for this scenario: git clone our URL and a dot. So I want it to be inside animals duplicate, and when I hit enter, it's cloning into this space. So the dot is saying I want to put everything inside here. Now we have our files on the system. We have the gitignore file, we have info, we have the sample.env and the rest. So what we're going to do right now is to just try to look at what we have in our git remote minus v, which is the verbose. And then you can see that we are pointing to that particular same one that we have above, right? The one that we were working on previously. So I can start adding codes to this. Another thing I want to do is to be able to see my branches, and then I can see that I have a main branch, and then we are seeing some things that I think that we are just seeing for like the first time. We are seeing remote main, remote origin head main, remote origin feature omnivorous, remote origin main. So I'm just going to talk about this to here, like just like a passing comment, right? So we have this main. The first main you're seeing here is the one on our local repository. I won't talk about this. So this particular one you're seeing is not on our local, but the history that we have on our remote repository, that's what's on GitHub currently for feature omnivorous branch. And this particular main you're seeing here is also a copy of what we have in our remote repository, but in our system right now. So if there is a change, if someone makes a change on the main branch and we don't have that change yet in our own local main branch, that change, when it is fetched or pulled, it's going to be inside here, inside this particular one, and not inside this particular one. That's where we are going to have it. So we've done our git clone, and so we have this project here, and we can start working on this particular project. I'm going to be making changes on this particular main branch, and then I'll be pushing those changes. I'm going to add a readme. I'm going to call this a readme.md file. Readme dot, or let me readme dot md. Okay, and here I'm just going to write author is okay, and I'm going to save this. So I'm going to git add, I'm going to git commit, add a read me.md file. So I've created this particular file. I can actually just do git push without writing main origin, because the upstream has already been set. Since we used git clone, the upstream is already set, so the tracking of the upstream is here already. I don't need to do any git push main origin. So what I can just do is just do git push, and then this is gone. Okay, we've pushed that particular one and it's up there in the origin. Now I'm going to open the other folder that we have, the previous one, the ones that are just for animals, right? And then let me open it on a new window. I'm going to open recent animals. Yep. So I go over to this particular page. If I refresh this, I'll see that I have a new commit, because I have 9 commits here. When I refresh this, there's a new commit there, and I should see 10 commits. A readme.md file was added, And we didn't see something like this before, but a readme.md file is going to, whatever we have in our readme.md file is going to show down here. This is the documentation that I was talking about, where you have to like tell your users how to set up a project, how to run it, and the likes. But if we come over to the original project that we have here, we can't see any readme.md file. So I'm going to open a terminal. So I'm going to first of all use a git pull command. I think this is the first time we are running a git pull. So I'm going to use a git pull command to pull everything I have in my remote repository to my local repository. But before I do that, let's run the git status command to see what our status is like. So our git status command, oh, we are in the feature omnivorous branch, so I'm going to check out to the main branch because we are working on the main branch. So git checkout main, and then we are in the main branch. Good. Let me clear screen. Now I can do git status. Okay, I don't see anything here yet. Okay, you say your branch is up to date with your origin main. I was expecting to see a change somehow because it's not really in sync. But let's first of all do a git pull. We'll do a git pull. So the command I'm supposed to run is git pull origin main. But as we've discussed in one of the previous classes, right? Since the upstream is set, I don't need to write origin main. I don't need to write the name of the remote and the name of the branch. So I can just run git pull, and I'm going to pull everything that I have on the main branch. So this is git pull here. Then you can see that I have my readme.md file just appearing there now. And if you look at this, it says it's pulling from this particular repository. We can see that a new commit has been added, a new file has been added. So it says one file change, one insertion, create mode, readme.md file. We have it right there. So that's what our git pull command does. So basically we have git push to move code from our local repository to our remote repository, and then we are going to be using git pull to get from our remote repository to our local repository. Git push, I'm pushing my code, I'm like taking it up. Git pull, I'm bringing it down. I'm bringing it down back to my system. So that's what we are doing. But there's something I need to actually kind of like explain. There's a git fetch command that happens when we actually git pull. It's a combination of two commands. It's a combination of git fetch and a combination of git fetch and git merge command. That's how we get whatever we have on our remote repository to our local repository. So to demonstrate this, instead of using git pull, I'm going to add another code from the animal duplicate code, and then I'm going to use git fetch and I'm going to use git merge this time around to get the code to our local system, to our local repository. So I am going up here and I'm just going to write comment. This is just for demonstration purposes. Okay, so git add to send it to the staging area, and then git commit to my repository. Git commit, then add a comment, and then I can git push. So I'm pushing my code. So we have a new commit message, right? If we go to our GitHub repository and we reload this page, we are going to see 11 commits instead of 10 now. we have one more commit message which was just made now, and we can see the comments right here. So I'm going to the original project and going to run git status. So though we don't have the code on the system yet, I think that's why it's saying the branch is up to date. So the first thing I'm going to run is a git fetch command. A git fetch command is me trying to update the local copy of what we have in our remote repository on our local git database. I think I need to take that again. So what our git fetch is going to do is going to go to our remote repository, take the latest change we have there, and update that version. Remember when I showed you remote /origin/main? It's just going to save it there, but our main branch is not going to see that change. So let me actually go ahead and do that. So I have git fetch. So you can see that it pulled it to our origin main, but we don't still have that particular code here. If you look at it, it's not yet there, but in our origin main, in the origin main branch, we have that particular code here. So what we need to do is to merge from that origin main into our main branch on the local. That's all we just need to do. All we need to do, just do a git merge the way we usually do our git merge, and the branch that we are merging from, which is going to be our origin/main. Before I do that, let me just do the git branch again and do a -a command. Remember, we have this branch, we have this, and then we also have this particular branch. Let me check out to that particular branch. It's something I've not done before, but let me check out into that branch. Say origin/main. So you see that when we check out to the origin/main, we can see that comment there. So this proves that we already have our change somewhere in our local database, but it's not in our local main branch. It's just in that branch origin/main. So I'll check out to the main branch again. Git checkout main. So when I check out to main, you can see that it's trying to tell me that your branch is behind origin/main by one commit. So somebody somewhere or the other code has made an update to the other project has made an update to our code. But in our local branch, if you look at this here, we don't have that change there. Previously, I did a git pull, and that git pull actually did the git fetch and the git merge. But remember, we've already done git merge for this particular git fetch for this particular change. So the next thing I need to do is to do a git merge, and the branch that I'm merging from, which is the origin/main. We don't need to write the remotes. I know we have remotes somewhere there, but we don't need to actually write the remotes. We just need the origin/main. That's where we are merging into. And so I can hit the enter, and then we have that particular change here, and our file has been updated. So this is how git pull works behind the scene. It's actually a combination of git fetch and git merge. So in our next lesson, we'll be looking at how to fork a particular repository, and then we'll then start looking at pull requests, and that's where we end on git. So thanks for joining the class.